And every story can change the world. Together we are Global Speakers Talk.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first Global Speakers Talk live debate. And you're here live with us for this very first of many live debates to come. We are grateful you have joined us for this action-packed debate with some amazing panelists that's been curated for you by Anshu today. I'm Tom LeNoble. I have the honor of moderating this first debate for Global Speakers Talk. Thank you, Anshu, for this opportunity. For those of you who do not know me, I'm a coach, I'm a speaker, I'm a best-selling author of My Life in Business Suits, Hospital Gowns, and High Heels. I'm the host of the Opening Pathways podcast and the CEO of the Academy for Coaching Excellence, where we train coaches around the world. Now, you can imagine, as being one of the first 75 employees at Facebook, I have a passion for today's topic, social media and leadership. But I'm going to keep my opinions to myself. I'm here to moderate this panel of experts that I can't wait to introduce you to. We've curated teams on both sides, Team Alpha and Team Beta, that are going to create an action-packed environment for this live debate. Anshu has created this space, Global Speakers Talk, for a reason. She didn't start this just to host events. Anshu started it because she knows what it feels like to have a voice and know where to use it. After facing rejection, setbacks, and moments where she questioned herself, she realized something painful. The world is not lacking talent. It's lacking platforms that truly value voices. And that became Anshu's mission. Global Speakers Talk was born to create a powerful global stage where leaders, speakers, and changemakers don't have to shrink, filter, or limit themselves. A space where voices are not judged, they are respected. They are not silenced, but amplified. I asked Anshu why. What is your why for starting this new live debate at Global Speakers Talk? Here's what she said, and I quote, "I started topic debates on GST because real leadership grows when different perspectives are heard, challenged, and respected, not avoided." So we'd like to welcome you today to this first live debate on Global Speakers Talk. And the topic today, supercharged, is social media creating leaders or destroying them? Is social media creating our leaders or destroying our leaders? We're going to look at both sides and even where we might fill the gap between the two. It's going to be great. We have some extraordinary panelists today, and we're going to call them Team Alpha and Team Beta. And I'm going to start introducing that panel to you now. So, for the first team, social media is creating leaders, representing the yes perspective, Team Alpha. Social media is creating leaders. First, I'd like to introduce you to a dynamic entrepreneurial duo and AI innovators, Bruno and Stacy Marcinkowski. Bruno and Stacy are transforming the way professionals use technology to amplify influence. They turn digital presence into real impact. And on this debate, they're bringing that future focused energy right here to the live debate. Bruno and Stacy, give a wave and say hello to our live audience.
Hi, everyone. Hey, Tom. Hey, all on the stage. It's been great to be invited here, and we're super excited for the
Good morning,
conversation.
everybody. Tom, good morning. I know it's real early for you. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. And Chu, thank you for a wonderful platform. We're ready for a really fun, friendly debate today.
Yep.
Thank you. And next, I want to introduce JB Herrera, 6-time founder, 30 years plus in business, a powerful voice for ethical leadership and human-centered success. JB blends his wisdom with strategy and real-world experience. When JB speaks, leaders listen. JB, please say hello to our live audience.
Greetings, everybody. How are you doing? I'm JB Herrera, and it's really a privilege to be here with these great speakers on a topic that I think is really important for everybody. We live in a time that's changing almost on a daily basis, and social media is one of those changes. So I'm really excited to be able to talk about this particular topic, and you're going to hear great people talk about the different points of view. And I would ask you, as you go through this, just do one thing. Take this part of these arguments and these positions, think about them, because you have the chance to be a leader. Whether you believe that social media is good for you or not, you can be a leader today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, JB. It's great to see you. And now I'd like to introduce you to Rob Triggs. Rob walked away from a 500K career to follow a higher calling. Rob believes sales is service. Boy, is that a passion of mine, Rob. Leadership is authenticity, and impact matters more than income. Get ready for bold conviction and powerful perspective. Rob, please say hello to our audience.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me. Thanks, Ansu, for inviting me to the panel. I'm excited to share my opinion on the topic of leadership, and looking forward to a friendly debate with the other panelists here today.
And now I want to introduce the remaining people that are with us today. First of all, I'm going to introduce James MacNeil. I had the privilege of meeting James this past year, and since then, just as of yesterday, met someone else we know together that we have in common, which is so exciting to me. He's a 30-year global powerhouse speaker, international best-selling author, and a master of communication. James has shared stages with the biggest names in personal development and leadership. He's here to challenge perspectives, raise the standard, and bring bold spiritual intelligence to this debate. James, please say hello to our live audience.
Well, hello, live audience. I love that introduction, Tom. You're a gentleman. You're a pleasure to get to know and meet and work with. Thank you, Anshu, and everybody. And I just want to set the tone by saying, calling me part of Team Beta is the beginning of misinformation. Just got to say it. Looking forward to the conversation with these brilliant, beautiful souls, and leadership will prevail no matter what happens. I'm excited to discuss it.
Thank you. It's so great to have you here. And now I'd like to introduce Jose Angel Pereira, who is coming to us directly from getting ready to land, I can see. I too have gotten to know Jose this past year, and it has been such a delight. We've shared some common contacts that have just blossomed into new, wonderful experiences. From songs to common beliefs to sharing stories. A former CEO who survived wrongful captivity and turned pain into purpose. Jose is living proof that real leadership is forged in fire. His resilience is not theory, it's lived experience. Get ready for powerful truth and unshakable conviction. Jose, please say hello to our live audience.
Hello, how are you? I'm arriving to my house, so I'm gonna connect from my computer in a couple of minutes. But I wanted to connect them because, well, this is a wonderful topic, and I hope that we have a good debate about it. And well, we'll take it from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Jose. It's great to have you with us. We'll see you in a moment on your computer. And now I want to bring you George P. Brooks. George is a speaker, a writer, a nonprofit leader, and fearless cultural voice. George brings bold honesty, lived experience in mental health recovery, and an unapologetic perspective. George just does not just speak. He challenges the room to think deeper. George, please say hello to our live audience.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm happy and excited to be here. I hope everyone is blessed, and I'm looking forward to what the day offers.
Thank you, George, and welcome.
Thank you.
So you can tell we have a powerhouse gathered here today for this first live debate at Global Speakers Talk. I know I had an extra cup of coffee to get ready for this group. In fact, I'll tell you the truth, I had two, because I know with this group, we're going to hear some really interesting and exciting perspectives today. I want to talk about what we're going to do here today. We're going to learn from people's opening statements. We're going to feel a power round. We're going to experience crossfire, and then we're going to hear a closing statement. And you, our live audience, get to vote. We want to know how you feel on this topic. You can vote as we go along. We're going to keep a tabulation, or at the end, whatever you prefer, but please vote. We'd love to see what our audience is feeling as this moves along. It's going to be dynamic. Now, let's remember, everyone, I know I don't need to say this to this group, but I'm going to do it because this is a heated topic. It can be. Remember, this is about respect. It's about listening to others, knowing you'll get your turn. And let's all remember, we here are all part of the Global Speaker Talk community. If you've not joined Global Speaker Talk, please find us. Our community is on all social media. You can find us anywhere, and you will find so much information that's valuable, so much engaging possibilities that we hope to see you there soon. Like us, love us, join us. So now I'm going to move us to our opening statements. Each panelist will get 2 minutes to share their opening statement on their perspective about what social media is doing to our leaders. Is it creating leaders or destroying leaders? So as we get started today, I'm going to ask James if he will share with us first his opening statement. James?
Well, I'm very excited and grateful. And I hope that we're respectful, but as fun-loving and challenging as, maybe not Dan Aykroyd's point counterpoint from SNL, but that was funny stuff. I want to say that social media is a very powerful tool. Some of you may remember the good old days, and it's not that old, when families and friends could be reunited, reconnect, share recipes, make friends. It was a beautiful, beautiful playground. And then the algorithms kicked in. And the algorithms were all about how do we maximize profits through attention. And so one of the first things I think that's important about social media and all media is media buys and sells attention. And if we understand that, that's the primary history of media. It buys and sells attention. So you build a following, and then you can do that, and then the algorithm will pay to put ads on your space. So you're part of this buying and selling of attention. That moved to the buying and selling of information, which became very concerning. Some of you know the Cambridge Analytics information, and they bragged they had 5,000 data points on every American, and they could brainwash Americans. And then companies like, I think it's Epsilon, of some of you would know better than I, they're now bragging 10,000 data points. And Yuval Noah Harari says our species has now become completely hackable. So there's some concerns. I don't believe leadership can be hindered in any way. Leadership is leadership, and we'll find a way. Social media, however, has been causing an immense amount of social divide, hate, fear, even violence, suicides, depressions, many challenges that social media has created. And so what I would suggest is that we be mindful. At the moment, it seems to me that on, let's say, Facebook, sorry, Tom, I'm going to see, number one, hate. If someone posts something kind or helpful, the algorithm suppresses it. If someone says, hate them, kill them, shoot them, they're the enemy, we're all going to die, it gets put right to the top of everyone's feed. So hate is number one, ads are number two, and third, you might get some wholesome, loving, cute kitty cat videos. So to me, it is not a playground where healthy people can articulate deep thoughts, and so that is my concern. But I do believe in leadership as much as I believe in God, and I believe that leadership will find a way. The playground, however, is, in my opinion, damaging and non-supportive of quality leadership. There you go.
Thank you, James. And just to be clear, I haven't been in Facebook in about 20 years, so don't assume that I'm a fan. So there we go with that.
It's not your fault, Tom.
It's all my fault. Boy, could I could tell you stories you wouldn't believe. But we're not going there today. What we are going to do is move to JB for his opening statement, please.
Well, thanks, Tom. And James, you're absolutely right. Everything that you were saying. What I know is that every era's transformative communication tool has expanded who gets to lead. The printing press democratized ideas. Radio gave us voice to create movements. Television demanded presence. Social media, it does the same thing. It democratizes access to influence itself. But for me, the question isn't whether social media creates real leaders. It's whether we're willing to recognize that leadership itself is being redefined. Social media dismantles the gatekeepers. Everybody has access to it. And as James was saying, what you can get is hate. You can get all kinds of different things. It gives everybody the capability of having a voice. Social media creates unprecedented accountability if we use that platform to provide that accountability. Social media develops leadership skills in real time when people are paying attention. Social media also services leaders who would otherwise remain invisible, which is what Global Speakers Talk is all about. So I would argue that really what we're talking about is that social media is fundamentally a broadcast medium. It's not a formation medium. The distinction is critical because to understand both its power and its limitations in how leadership is developed. Broadcasting does a bunch of different things well. It amplifies messages that already exist. It extends reach beyond traditional geographic and institutional boundaries. It creates visibility for ideas, movements, and individuals. But what it cannot do, it cannot build the character required to steward influence wisely, develop the wisdom that comes from sustained difficult experience, create the depth of conviction tested through personal sacrifice. That's what I believe in.
Thank you, JB. Audience, I told you, this is an action-packed group we have here today. I'm going to move next for an opening statement from Rob.
Hi, everybody. So I'm on the red side. So my position is that social media, even though it's a valuable tool, a communication tool, like we just heard, leadership's very different. And I think when you're on social media rewards likes, and it rewards the virality, things going viral. And the things that typically go viral aren't the things that are contained in core leadership attributes. And in fact, someone with a camera and a microphone can literally put on a presence and pretend and act like a leader when they're on social media. And when you scratch beneath the surface, you realize that the core leadership skills and attributes are just not there. So even though leadership can be a tool supported and, I guess, propagated by social media, my core thesis is it's so easy to fool someone on social media that it is undermining leadership, true leaders. And that's the core principle, what I'm here to talk about today.
Thank you, Rob. And now I'm going to move for the opening statement from Stacy.
Okay. Hey, everyone. Thank you. So for us, I think social media has given, just as this global speakers group, it has given people voices to go on their platforms and have a voice and have a presence. And yes, I agree that, you know, there are different things that are on social media that are negative and positive all at the same time. And it's what you choose to take from those aspects that people are presenting. And I don't necessarily feel that everyone is what they're putting on social media is fake. You have to really, you know, differentiate yourself with, you know, those things and be authentic. I mean, this platform has given people an opportunity to expand their voices globally. And I think leaders that are formulating and evolving from that, just like all of the other revolutions of internet and things like that give people voices that we didn't have before. I think it is a platform that can be helpful and not necessarily hurtful. And likes and leads, those are algorithms that change all the time through Facebook and all the other social medias. But I do think that it does have and serve a good presence for people.
Yeah, and where I would agree with my wife there, and I got to say, I'm really impressed with the two opposing answers, because I think, like JB had said, I certainly agree with both Rob and James. You know, we are at a time where we do have to be, you know, Peter Parker said, with great power comes great responsibility. So with a great social media following, so does that as well. And where I would like to disagree is, you know, most of our million view posts have been about God and faith. And most of my posts about Donald Trump and Joe Biden have never even reached 300,000. So, you know, when you're doing your A/B test, James, and things, it's really who your platform is and who you're working with. So you have a lot of control. For the first time in history, like everybody here agrees, we all have a voice. If Jesus had the same platforms that Tony Robbins had, we don't know what would have happened in those days. So, you know, I do think that it's important for us as leaders to present wonderful messages like all of us are here today, so that people can hear both sides and make good decisions for themselves. But let's not also all agree today that our listeners aren't educated. Today, we live in the world of AI, where education comes quickly if you're using the tools, so they can look and see if what we're talking about today if it's actually true or false. So, you know, for the listeners today, make sure you're educating and reading what me and Stacy are saying, what Rob and everybody else are saying, and make sure that we're telling the truth as well. Hold us leaders accountable. And I think in that kind of world, we have a lot of wonderful give and take. And today, Anshu is proving that social media is a platform for good, because the 6 of us here today, including Tom, are connected through social media.
Thank you, Dream Team. And now I'd like to hear an opening statement from George.
Good morning, everyone. This is George P. Brooks, CEO of Meta Association, writer, advocate. And what I in preparation for this event, the first thing that came to mind was the actual concept and definition of leadership. And oftentimes we typically get one of two images, either that of a stoic lone warrior on a mountaintop with bloody shield and sword in hand, surrounded by his warriors looking over newly conquered land, to the point that image is almost deified in our society, or at least has been in the pantheon of our of human existence. And with Black History Month, we the other image we're often uh, barraged with, actually, is that of a civil rights leader leading protests, working with policy. The thing is, with the advent and proliferation of social media, that definition itself has migrated to so many different things in terms of imagery and verbiage, that the most dangerous thing, the most harmful thing that social media has done to true leadership is that it has confused influence with leadership. And that's a dangerous thing in the sense that it muddies down what the spirit of leadership is, what it is supposed to be. And you have people that think that because you have views, that means you're a leader. No, leadership requires a CTA. It requires a lack of hypocrisy. It requires work that's actually demonstrative once the Wi-Fi signal ends. And with social media, we have less of that and more hyperbolic rhetoric that's often just an avenue for propaganda and dangerous. So we have to think of social media in terms of utility, the highway in which leadership can travel. And just by nature of what social media is, I think it spits in the face of true leadership.
Thank you, George. Wow. And Jose, let's hear your opening statement, please.
Well, I have been hearing the opinions of everybody, and for me, even that you can consider that social media could be good. One of the big issues that today is the content that you consume. You have to be very careful with the content, because today, unfortunately, there are a lot of fake news around, and with all these tools today with AI, and you can create some reality that is not true. And so sometimes it happened to me very, very frequently that I receive information that I say, oh, what's going on here? And then I had to double check things to see if this is true or not. So social media can be good, but at the same time can be very, very disturbing, because maybe if you don't confirm the information you're getting, you can be taking decisions in a wrong way. And today you receive massive information on a daily basis, and you have to be very careful with the information that you're taking, and taking it, if it's for decision making, you have to be very careful with the information that you're using. So social media can be very good, but at the same time can be very disturbing, and also can be uh, um, let's say, making the leader take decision in a wrong way if you don't confirm the information that you're getting. So this is my takeaway right now today, because again, you can see a lot of information there that appears to be true, and you see people. Picture this. Now you can clone somebody, you can clone their voice, and you can put people to say things that maybe are not true. And this is really very disturbing, because maybe you can be thinking that somebody's saying something that you think that is true, and it's fake. So you have to be very, very careful with the information you're getting. That's
Thank
my
you.
main takeaway.
Thank you, Jose. Now I'm beginning to think I needed an extra, even one more cup of coffee with this group. Wow. We want to know what you're thinking. Remember, you can share with us. You can already start voting if you'd like. We're going to move into our power round where we're going to hear from each team. And I'm going to start with those in the blue, those who think that it is creating leadership today. Social media is creating leadership. So team, are you ready? I've got the first question for you. Let's hear from you, those who think social media is creating leadership. What is real leadership today? Team, take it away.
So, Tom, I would say that, first off, I really appreciate all the answers have been really good. And I think just listening to everyone, I would start with the reader of the information has to be educated. I think everyone is agreeing in today's world of AI, the reader has to be educated. So I just wanted to start there as a theme for today. I think that we all agree there, and that's really a great start. As far as leadership today, it hasn't changed. Leadership has to be authentic. It has to be delivering value, right? Pricing and things like that. If you are selling a product, has to be according to what your product is. So when you're doing things, it doesn't matter if you're using a social media platform or if you're as old as us to remember when we would market to a church bulletin, but the difference today is leadership can be actually measured, thanks to technology and thanks to social media. We ask people who are, doing things, how many views are you getting? And views are based on some type of authenticity, even if you don't agree with the topics. So you are able to show actual, viewership and things today, which we can really appreciate, which I also think our followers and listeners and our clients appreciate as well.
Yeah, and to just expand on that, just with the artificial intelligence that's combined with social media now, I mean, your reach is much wider than it had been. Facebook marketing ads can be very helpful for things that you're working on in your businesses. And I think that can only help leaders. And again, you have to always make sure that you cross-reference and educate yourself and do that due diligence. But I think you have the opportunity to boost that in wide ranges. And I think if leaders use that appropriately and bringing an AI first as well to social media, that can educate and also reduce some of the redundancy work and let you be in front of more people.
If your message was full of hate and other negative topics before social media, it probably didn't change much after social media.
Thank you. Yes. Now remember, panelists, 2 minutes each for these perspectives. Okay. Those that think it's creating, I've got JB and Jose to share with us. Sure. What is real leadership today?
If I had to distill it down, I think leadership in the age of social media really is about intentional, values-aligned use of public influence to create trust, to mobilize people, and to provide meaningful impact. So if you take that definition and break it apart, what you see is that leadership doesn't necessarily change, whether it's social media or not. It's the intentional, values-aligned use of the medium itself that really defines how it can be used for good or for bad. But the fundamentals of leadership don't change. The algorithm doesn't determine whether you're a leader. Your character does. The platform may amplify you. So if you're amplifying, speaking hate, it's going to amplify that. But it can't anchor you. That's still part of your responsibility.
Thank you, JB. All right, another perspective. What is real leadership today from those who think social media is creating leadership?
I want to mention something because, again, confirming what I was saying, because and somebody mentioned about the following, and sometimes the people only cares about the following. So So there has to be some responsibility, because you can be saying things that are not true, but because that gains you following. Yeah, because maybe you're saying things that only because you want to get impressions, and there comes the ethics in leadership, because not only you have to be authentic in what you do, but you have to be ethic, because maybe if you're doing something only because you want the following, that can make you to lead in a wrong way. So you can be a leader, but not a good leader, not a positive leader. And unfortunately, there are a lot of that in social media today.
All right, Blue Team, I've got another question for you. Thank you, Jose. Blue Team, what role is social media playing in leadership today? Who wants to go first? What role is social media playing in leadership today, Blue Team?
So social media, Tom, thank you. These are great questions as well. So social media is just a platform. And I think, again, a lot of us are in really a good agreement with this. Your platform, it's up to you. And it's also up to you what you're consuming. So, if you're consuming a lot of negativity every day and you're consuming a lot of negative social media, that's also not going to help the people that are moving along with you. And I do agree that if you are working for attention and you're not working to add value and you're not working to add impact, it's a lot easier to consistently add impact than it is to consistently just get views or attention. So I'd like to make sure that people know that in order to get a lot of views and a lot of followers, it's really not just about throwing up the silliest thing or the most angry thing, because again, our best posts have been about our marriage and have been about our faith and our religion, whereas our more debateful posts or our more marketing style posts don't get near the attention that the more positive posts do.
Thank you. What role is social media playing, JB, Jose?
Well, I think what it does is it opens the possibility to be your best or your meanest. I come from the technology industry. In venture capital, they fund companies who try to build viral audiences. They teach this methodology of using social media to create these high impact videos and personalities and influencers. Does social media itself do that? Not really. It's the people who are behind it that are creating that negative influence. So I would say that today we live in a dangerous world, not because of the fact that social media exists. I remember back when it started, right? And what we were trying to do with the World Wide Web and communicating and connecting people. In the 90s, it was about 6 Degrees and Friendster and a bunch of places where people could get together. Today, however, the same platform that exists then exists today, but we use it differently. So is it social media is the problem, or is it the people using it the problem? Is it the people who have money who are using it to create this massive amount of influence? And as Jose was talking about, getting viewership and likes, right? That's what we have to worry about.
Thank you, JB. Jose, anything to add? The role social media is playing in creating leadership.
Well, JB said it. I totally agree with JB is saying, because you can see here, and you mentioned something, JB, the money. One of the big issues today is that big money is using social media to create influence in some direction they want to head people. No matter if it's right or not, it's because it's their interest. So when you're talking about, there are a lot of talking about that deep government and all these mean people creating these big corporations trying to head in some direction. So the problem is that you can use the money to influence the audience to take some directions. And maybe it's not the right direction, but it's the direction they want to guide you to go. So that's the problem that with social media today, that you can use your power, your money, and your influence to guide the person, not how they have to do, is what you want them to do. So that there's really social media. It has a real power, but if you use it in the wrong way, it can be very, very harmful.
Thank you, Jose. And thank you, Team Blue. I want to move to our red team. They're coming from a space that social media could be destroying leadership. All right, red team, what is real leadership today?
Well, I'm chomping at the bit, if you don't mind, fellow red team.
Go ahead, sir.
I was blessed with the opportunity to do a research report for an HR think tank on the topic of leadership, and I was able to speak to the top minds of Harvard, Stanford, Yale, Cambridge, and all the top corporate leadership training companies. And I started with the question, what is leadership? And I quickly found out that nobody agrees. So while we're talking about is social media destroying leadership or helping leadership, we should have the humility to know that we're all talking about different things, because almost nobody agrees on what is leadership. When I realized none of them would agree, I said, can we agree on what leadership does? And they said, well, take a shot. I said, well, leadership occurs when an individual or group of individuals choose consciously or unconsciously to follow the example or directions given by another. And all of them said, well, duh, yeah. And so leadership is not measured by the leader, but by the followers. If there's no followers, you're just walking alone in a field. And so leadership is measured by how many people follow your example or your directions. That said, it is not necessarily good or evil. Were Hitler and Stalin leaders? Yes. Were they powerful leaders? Yes. Were they leaders for evil? Yes. So leadership isn't always necessarily good under the pure definition of leadership. It's just they have followers. So I wanted to first talk about that, and then also I just wanted to say that leadership, a leader is one who takes action on vision. So that applies online and otherwise. And so if you're a person who takes action on vision, you're a leader. Yeah, and I'll just stop there.
Thank you, James. Great. All right, red team, who else has got something to share on what is real leadership today?
Well, to me, this is George. Real leadership is one, especially in the context of social media and how we're all been affected by it, is bravery. Because a lot of us, or a lot of so-called leaders online, are seeking validation. They're not seeking real concepts of integrity. And what that does in terms of leadership, and this is actually frightening and dangerous, is that it creates echo chambers. It creates pockets of society that on social media that can insulate itself and negate the rest of the world. So a lot of times those notions and the developments are insidious, because if you look at a lot of these the movements that have been detrimental to human society, they have existed and were birthed in echo chambers. And I think leadership as a concept, regardless of the ideology behind it, can be weaponized. But when you create echo chambers, as social media lends itself to do, that's when you have radicalization. So in that point, not only is the concept of leadership muddled, it actually can weaponize leadership just by virtue of social media and how it's constructed.
Thank you, George. Rob?
Yeah, just hearing you say the word weaponize, we're seeing examples of that in the media, and especially social media every day these days. But my take is social media really rewards popularity over competence. And that's my core principle in this debate. Real leadership is earned through results, sustained results with responsibility, sustained performance. So people who have achieved great things, whether socially, in business, whatever it may be, they have proven results, sustained results. And these are people who are helping others achieve the same things. The problem with social media, the loudest voice often wins. The most polarizing takes the lead. The most emotional content travels the fastest. So you can have people that are floating to the top and look like true leaders, but again, when you scratch below the surface, it's hollow. It's a popularity contest. And the problem with social media, it rewards the popularity contest model versus true sustained leadership.
Right. And may I say something? I just want to add something, gentlemen. This just came to mind. One thing I've been witnessing in terms of my work in social media is that it's destroyed leadership by destroying our critical thinking skills. We're often educated by 30-second TikTok clips. There's no time taking to research, to think, to ponder, to discern. And once you've chucked that out from society, no leadership or effective or beneficial leadership can sprout from that seed. So I think social media has eroded our ability to grow and have discernment, to think critically, and by virtue, it's destroyed leadership as well.
Well, thank you, George. Okay, red team, George, Rob. Let me hear from you, James. What else do you have to say about the role social media is playing in leadership today? Any other final comments before we move on?
Sure. I think, and I appreciate both teams, the people who are wrong and those of us who are right. I appreciate you both. I want to say that I love that Bruno and Stacy have built their expertise and their following so that holistic, faith-based communications are prioritized. And if you talk to those people about hate and division, they don't like it because Bruno and Stacy have nurtured a following of people who have a mindset that they're not interested in that stuff. And that's beautiful. For most people going on to Facebook, and if they wanted to build a following, you're going to a place that people are not en masse looking for that. It's hard to compete with hate and porn and say, hey, everyone, hi, I'm here now. I have great information. And I disagree with something you said, JB, which is rare because you're brilliant and I respect you and basically give in to anything you say. But when you said Facebook is the same, we've changed. That's not true. And you know it's not true. The algorithms have mutated the methodology for prioritization and short, not sharing information. One hate emoji is 5 times more powerful than a like or a love emoji. And so if you get more hate, you are 5 times more prioritized. And so the playground is not fair. Put me in front of a live audience and I can handle it. Turn off my microphone and I'm going to have trouble. And Facebook turns off the microphone of sane, whole, wise, relevant, healthy, and faith-based. Again, I celebrate and compliment Bruno and Stacy for their success in that playground. I'm merely saying for someone coming in, it's going to be pretty hard to get anyone to notice you if you're not, hate or porn or something else or really cute kitten cats. Oh, I got to say one other thing, everyone. I don't know if everyone agrees with me. The best thing on internet are AI generated Trump dancing hip hop videos where he drops F-bombs and threatens to bust a cap in someone's ass. That is the funniest stuff out there. I'll watch that all day.
I love it. Final thoughts from our red team. Social media is destroying leadership. What are your final thoughts on our question?
I think the thing to keep in mind in terms of social media, just in general, and you can just cite examples of how it's been applicable to its effect. I look at social media as utility, like fire. While it can give life, it can sustain life, it can keep you warm and cook your food. Under the wrong hands, it can burn down everything you own and be ultimately destructive. So I think, also, it depends on the wielder. But I think with human nature, sometimes being what it is, Carl Jung talks about our shadow self, and when that bleeds into it, the social media is like I said, is harmful, and it allows for false prophets. It allows for notions that are destructive to be weaponized, as I said previously, and is actually just not conducive to leadership. And as I said before, it just depends on the wielder behind it, and we can't trust that kind of power just in everyone's hands. Just because you have a voice does not mean it's relevant enough to do anything that's going to be a benefit or to lead. feed, but it's basically social media is basically like our virtual scrapbook, and in that essence, it loses some validity and actually works against leadership.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
My final say on this is really social media is a form of communication, and because it's algorithm based, it's not that it's bad for leadership. There's amazing leaders using social tools every day. They're phenomenal leaders. But the other problem is there's an illusion. It industrializes the illusion of leadership too. And there's a lot of people out there that are loud and proud, and I won't say the name, but someone already said it here today. There's a lot of stuff out there on social media driving lots of attention. And just because someone says it on social media doesn't make it so. And so I believe social media has the ability and the capability to drive and promote true leadership, but it also has the illusion of giving people a voice that are not leaders. They're just noise. That's what they are.
And I think you run into the issue of people trying to monetize ideology. There's more of an algorithmic incentive for a lot of these people online as opposed to one of purpose, and that bastardizes leadership.
All right. Thank you, Red Team. We're going to move to the next session. Audience, I told you this was going to be exciting. And now we're going to turn up the excite-o-meter right here and now in the next 20 minutes with a crossfire round. So let's turn up the heat. We're going to let one team take the lead to question the other, and then we're going to reverse it. So first up, we're going to have the blue team, those think social media is creating leaders, question the red team, those who think it's destroying leadership. Blue team, start those questions. Go.
So guys, one thing I'd like, do you want me to ask the individual, Tom?
You can do it however you like, whoever can answer, up to you. Go for it.
You know, only because James had mentioned the word algorithm a lot of times, and me being, a true geek, a coder for many years, I would have to say that, and I think a lot of us would agree that rhetoric is interesting, right? So if we agree that the powers that be are controlling the algorithm, through the words that we're using, and a lot of words that we're using today are, destructive and harmful and those things. I do caution folks, and I thank you for the compliments, James. Part of the reason our algorithm draws followers that, believe in Jesus and a married couple and artificial intelligence and real estate is because a lot of our content is based that way. So the algorithm will then bring those folks who are working with you. So I would also say that it's creating a track for new leadership, folks like us, to help navigate that bad information and make sure that they're consuming good information.
Right. And leadership isn't just on social media, it's through media itself. So it's what you absorb and what you and
question. Yeah, we got to ask Tom.
Yeah,
James.
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, James, so do you agree that if your content, I didn't mean for it to be that long of a question, guys, but do you agree if your content is full of always us versus them, or always good versus evil, or always, that kind of content where social media is a negative aspect, don't you think it draws people looking for that if we're talking about an algorithm?
Yes. So let me start with my assumption is that you, Bruno, and Stacy are, by your own admission, more competent with algorithms, how things work, how to do it well, how to build an audience than the masses. So let's start with you have more power than the average human because you've earned it. Second, you didn't start today with today's algorithms. You started before you were able to build a following with a far higher than average understanding, a far higher than average commitment, and a far easier playground with the algorithms that were in existence when you started. I don't believe saying everyone has the same opportunity to build a healthy following as we did. I think that's not accurate.
All right. Blue team, question the red team. What do you got to say? JB, I see you got one on your mind. Let it out.
JB can go.
So, it's interesting. questions when we talk about social media, and the red team has brought such great points to the table, right? So we can talk about the algorithm. We can talk about the negativity that happens as a result of being on social media. But at the end of the day, I would ask one fundamental thing. Isn't it people behind the algorithm? Isn't it people who are going to be speaking? I mean, forget for a second social media, just for a second. I want you to go back about 100 years when people would have, George was talking earlier about the echo chamber. People would gather in small groups. They would get caucuses around, and they would have their conversations, whether that was about, evangelism, religious evangelism, or it was communism, or it was women's rights. Everybody got together and did that little thing that they were passionate about. What social media does today, it gives that small group of people access to billions of people, right? Now, is that right or wrong? Nah,
I think
it
I
is.
think that's right. I think that on that notion I can agree. I think the inherent problem with social media is the fact that the way it's constructed and the way that we utilize it. Those echo chambers are usually not very well informed because our attention spans are so short. We're so used to gathering information so quickly, almost instantly, that people. And this is more attuned to human nature in this application of social media. They don't take the time to research and explore before they tack on to a cause, and that in itself is dangerous.
Yeah, boom! I wish I could drop my mic right now.
On the blue team.
No, but isn't that true for anybody? I mean, you have to be able to, understand the information and educate yourself in order to either accept that news or not. I mean, it's still behind the same person delivering the information. So whether it be on social media or not, or a newspaper, you still have the ability to do the right thing and digest that information yourself and not be so negative.
Right. But you have to understand, the thing about social media and the internet in general is that it's the Silk Road of bad ideas. Anything monetized is basically an abstract unless you're selling products online. So by the nature of social media, you can get just an influx of things that are not positive, and human nature just does not lend itself. And I think a lot of the reason that people just have this microwave way of thinking that leads to bad ideas without discernment, without research, has been because of social media. I remember before, I remember the days of having encyclopedias, and if you were showing discernment, you had to take time and invest time to go to the library to read things like that. And that's where, I'll say this again, social media has been weaponized to push notions and doctrines that are predatory and dangerous.
Well, you get to choose what you see and what you don't see on your feeds too, right?
True.
Oh, I'm begging.
True.
I'm begging.
Yeah, James.
I believe taking the position that it's the responsibility of the consumer is the opposite of leadership.
Right.
To say, oh, sure, my chocolate bars are poison, but hey, I'm not responsible. People should do their own research, and they are responsible. I'm not responsible. I just create poison. No, leadership is not. It's their fault because they're not educated. Leadership says, I care enough to respect the reality. I'm a 14-year-old boy trying to figure out what's right and wrong, good and bad. I go into a playground that feeds me hate and porn, and finds whether they can hook my empathy into a left-leaning mindset, or if they can hook my feelings of justice into a right-wing mindset. And then they're going to absolutely feed me what is going to build me into an extremist one way or the other. And for us to say that's the kid's fault, he could find better choices, I don't think that's leadership.
Well, James, you brought age into it, though, and I think nobody on this panel would disagree with age. That's a different conversation for sure.
Who's on Facebook?
If your audience is children, you certainly have to handle that with a different level of leadership. I think
All right,
Well,
folks.
I
All
would
right,
argue-
panel. I'm over here biting my lip. You have no idea how hard it is to have this roll and not want to jump in this.
One time,
Boy, we may have to have a separate thing off this live debate to debate. I'm ready for you. All right, we're going to shift the gear here and we're going to move. Red team, destroying social leadership. It's your turn. Question, crossfire, the blue team, who think it's creating leadership.
So I have a question for the blue team. So there's a lot of good points here, and we all use social media. In fact, we're on social media right now, and so no one's debating whether we should or shouldn't use it. But here's the issue of, does it create or destroy leadership? JB's hilarious. And you nowadays you can't even trust what you see on social media with AI and the images. There was something posted just the other day, and it was so well done, I believed it. Then I had to spend an hour fact checking to see if it was real. And so today, social media is a powerful tool, but when it comes to, is it destroying leadership? Is it causing leadership to be undermined in a way? How do you defend that? Like, so my question really is, how do you know who is a real leader, who's not a real leader, when you can't even trust what you see anymore on social media?
So this would go back to, even leaders are consumers, right? So we look for other leaders to follow, so I was excited to follow Mr. Brooks because, we have different opinions on things, and that helps us educate, right? So, what we implore people to do is make sure if you enjoy one type of, if you enjoy one type of music or one type of sport or one type of religion or politic, make sure that you're also following other types, right? So we do feel like, we followed everybody on this panel today, and I found that we don't agree with, I don't like the words don't agree, with different opinions with other folks on the panel here. Tom and I have different opinions being across the country from each other. I absolutely love the gentleman. It made us smarter. We did some work on Tom's book. I wanted to give it a plug, but his creativity has nothing to do with ours. It made me such a better creator, and that's the power of social media there.
And I think we also lost valuing people's differentiations in opinions, right? We used to be able to have these nice talks and conversation based where not everybody had the same view, but we respected each other's view and we were able to talk about it. I think in today's world, social media and media itself has skewed a lot of things and have divided a lot of people.
To answer the question directly is, if you stay in the echo chamber, like Mr. Brooks had said and other folks, you're going to become that echo chamber. You're not going to have an education base to make good decisions. So we implore people to get outside of the echo chamber. So you're getting diverse opinions. So then it goes back to the consumer, but he has better information to decide what leader to follow, if they should be following leaders at all, if not educating themselves to be stronger leaders.
Right.
All right, red team, what other questions do you have for the blue team?
I have one. In you all's position, in terms of being able to lead on social media, I think that requires somewhat of a covenant between the follower and the influencer or leader. I want to get you all's notions on what type of actions will require a violation of that leader to where people should stop following them, and what should the consequence be for that?
That's a great question. Mr. Brooks. I'm going to think about that for a few seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing I would definitely say is, us obviously being an artificial intelligence with a lot of hallucinations, like Mr. Triggs had said, it is our job to make sure that we're quadruple and tripling checking our material when it's going online. And then when somebody does have an opposing opinion or corrects us, that we don't take that stuff personal, and that we're become good arbiters of our platform and correct our material if we do make a mistake or we do put up something that maybe isn't correct. So what would be the retribution for something like that? The retribution is the consumer. If your consumer no longer follows you because you continue to put up misinformation or you continue to, give them product that's not serving your community, the retribution is going to be loss of that loyalty. And I don't know that there's any bigger loss that we're all working for, is the loyalty of our
And
folks.
trust.
Yeah.
So
Great question.
that's and I think both Bruno and Stacy are hitting something that's really important here, and addresses Rob's question, right? Which is how can you believe all of that stuff that you see? Well, what George was talking about earlier also was we're losing our critical thinking because it's so easy to believe what you see really fast. Wouldn't it be interesting if everybody thought about social media and said, I can't believe anything, I have to fact check it? Whoa, that's a great thing to have happen, right? Because that's what we're trying to get to, a place where leadership evaluates all of these things against a set of principles that they live by. So one of the other things, Rob, that we were talking about is how can you believe what you see? Well, yes, you do have to do some fact checking, but I think that's exactly what we need to do. Right. Otherwise, we can create our own echo chamber in our heads. And the other part of that ends up being if we're actually looking at us taking responsibility based on the kinds of values and truth, opinions that we have, right? That's awesome. I want to declare that and share with people this is what I believe in, because I want to understand what other people want to believe in. Social media gives me the opportunity to do that. The platform, right? Now, to James's point, you're absolutely correct. We've got these people who their sole objective is to build a business that keeps people on their platform, right? They'll do anything to keep people, that little spark of dopamine that keeps them on their website or their social media platform. That's not the platform. That's their business model behind the platform that keeps them wanting to do that. And I've seen it time and time and time again. So that we can, if we understand that that's the case, there will be people who do not understand this. You're absolutely right, James. It's not just the responsibility of the individual person, although we must take responsibility for the decisions that we make. But those companies, the people who are controlling whatever that algorithm is, they have a responsibility as well. And when we do that, then guess what? We have a platform or series of platforms that enable us to have this kind of conversation. A conversation where people have differing opinions, come at a process or a topic from different directions, and come together in a place that helps us elevate ourselves and elevate each other.
Very good, JP.
And I love that because we didn't have that before, right? We were all isolated in your own perspective neighborhoods and things like that. We never, you didn't really get a flavor for such diversification and difference in cultures and opinions and things like that. And that's where I think the good comes from it, because you get to learn from one another. And that's where I think social media is a good platform, as long as it's served in the right way.
I think both us and James are right. I think that the consumer has to make sure in this world of so much information overload, they have a responsibility. But as leaders, it's our job to try and help search through that information and bring to them the best information that we can find as well. And use sourcing and use credibility people, which we do all of the time. Because if you're using websites and sourcing and quoting people, that also helps add credibility as well.
Yes, some blending of thoughts going on here, audience. We want to hear what you're thinking. Is it destroying or creating leadership? Social media, is it destroying or creating leadership? Red team, one more question for the blue team.
I have a question. I have a pre-question, if you don't mind, blue team. And my pre-question is JB calls foul because he's afraid. He's scared.
Get one question.
He knows I'm not. Without answering, hand signals only. Can you agree that the algorithms of social media will increase the findability of content and decrease the findability of content? Will you agree with me that that occurs? Yes or no? Just with a hand. Is it a yes? That it increases and decreases? Okay, the honest people raise their hand. So we know that it is not a level playing field for the best thought. It is not a level playing field to build community. It went from community to mob, and the systems are set up to continue to divide. When I asked an AI about could you tell me which crimes social medias have been found guilty of? It said, there's no way to organize a complete list. It's too long and it's too big. I'm going to give you about a dozen categories where there's insane amounts of crime, serving and supporting pedos, miscommunication. The crimes of social media are not unknown. So it is not currently a safe place for the uneducated and for the well balanced, or for the unwell. So my question, therefore, is how can we help to make social media a safe place for people of all ages and stages to become well, find their way, and become leaders? Not just find leaders, but become leaders.
So,
all right, blue team.
I would certainly say that we're doing it right now, right? So we have created a new leadership position, James. My wife and I are actually, we're trying to become a little bit of the tip of the spear of that. A husband and wife team teaching AI. We're in our 50s. We're trying to show people that, leading with that can, leading forward through example can work, but I do want to say that being that the algorithm does follow what you are saying and doing, okay, there is a lot of protections on those platforms. And I do feel like it's up to all of us on the call to continue talking exactly like these things so that people can continue to get the difference of opinions on why it could be good and why it could be bad. Because in the end, we're all using it for good. Everybody on this channel is actually using it good because Mr. Brooks is giving a lot of people information on how to improve their social media by avoiding X, Y, and Z. And Stacy and I are saying the same thing from a different mindset. So again, it is really going to be about creating actually new leaders in today's world and being thoughtful of people that might not have a digital experience or a digital education. We actually start with the beginning process from the actual download of ChatGPT. Our oldest participant's 84, and she's wonderful. And we do that on purpose because we're really trying hard to blend a lot of what you guys are saying today with a lot of the new things of tomorrow so that everybody doesn't get left behind, so that we can really bring them current and really give them good information.
JD, any thoughts?
James brings up a ton of great questions and issues that we have to think about all the time. And where I always come up with, I always try to understand why things are the way they are, right? We talk about the algorithm. We talk about, virality. We talk about all of these different things. And why is it important? Well, for those of us who are on the side of using social media for leadership purposes, my focus, my passion is making sure that you use AI in an ethical fashion, that it's values-based, that you define it for yourself and you don't let anybody else, any other AI or large language model or anything else out there influence what you want that represents who you are. For me, that's my passion in life. That's my mission, okay? But other people don't have that. Other people want to have the shortest path to getting my question answered. Let me use a ChatGPT to give me the answer really fast. It's the easy button. That's the danger. That's the anti-leadership, right? That's being lazy. And you know what? I hate to tell us, but we're lazy. We have a lazy culture. We like to have that really simple, fast answer. And social media business models that create the algorithms allow us to do that because they want you to, hey, you want to have that really quick jolt of dopamine by seeing somebody like James was talking about, somebody jumping up and down and being kind of goofy and swearing and doing all of this kind of stuff. For some people, that's fun. But on the other hand, right, you can also see that could be damaging. Mm-hmm. One One person's sarcasm can be another person's insult.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the problem that exists from the platform, or is that our individual use of social media and not being a leader and not recognizing that leadership really is not, as James was talking about, great leadership. Hey, look behind you. If there's nobody behind you, you ain't a leader, right?
Exactly.
So how does that happen? Well, guess what? Answering Rob's question earlier, how do you build that trust? How can you figure that out? Well, it takes time. It takes consistency. It takes a level of commitment to whatever that is that you stand for and believe in. And no matter, in the AI world and the systems that I've created, it's called guardrails and bright lines. There are bright lines that you will not cross no matter what. And being a true leader understands those guardrails and those bright lines. And whether you choose to do that in social media or not, that's your choice. Now, my objection for the technology companies that provide social media platforms is that they're manipulative. The business models are manipulative, not the social media. The social media itself, I remember I was there when 6 Degrees started and Friendster started, right? The platform, the fundamental platform about communicating with a bunch of people that you don't know, that's still there. The algorithm that's built on top of that is Facebook, YouTube, everything else that goes along with that. Oh, and by the way, Google too.
Thank
right?
you, JB. Thank you. Crossfire is now closed, and we're going to move into the final portion of today, which is a final closing statement. I told you this was going to be exciting, audience. But right now we're going to get a 1, maybe 2 minute, panelists, stick to it, please, closing statement. And you're answering this question, please, for your closing statement of this first live debate on Global Speakers Talk. What do you want the world to remember from today? Remember, our mission here at Global Speakers Talk is the world. We're talking globally. What do you want the world to remember from today? George, I'm starting with you.
Yes. Well, in my closing statement, what I would like for the world to remember today about this conversation and debate, and thank you all for having me, is that throughout the lining of my entire message has been that social media is a marketplace. It's a utility. It's actually managed without the arbiters of social media such as Facebook or Instagram. We're kind of lost without it. And it is basically what we make it. We have to endeavor into our social media activities with a sense of discernment, with research, with notions, and not just fall folly to snake oil salesmen, because you have to vet those that you follow, your influencers and things like that. So I think if we can think of social media in a matter of utility, that it will help, maybe fortify the tenets and the classical notions of leadership and not be so corrosive.
Thank you, George. Next, I am going to move to the dream team, Bruno and Stacy. Closing statement, please.
So what I would say is, for social media platforms, I really do think that you have to be your authentic self. You have to be accountable and know that there are millions and millions of people watching what you put on and with your content. Be careful with what you're putting on there. We've just had this conversation where there could be 2 different perspectives taken from what you put on content. And we as leaders going into this need to make sure that A, we're being ethical, 2, we're being trustworthy, and we're researching everything before we're putting things on social media, because this is a huge platform for people to take. The other thing is, individuals are their own individuals. People are, could be hateful, they could be loving, who knows what that is, but just be mindful of what you're putting on social media.
And just to finish our 2 minutes, social media isn't ever going to create leaders. People create the leaders. So let's not ever forget that. I think the 6 of us agree a lot more than we disagree about moving forward in social media, to be, like my beautiful wife had said, be good ambassadors, be ethical ambassadors in our fields, and I also just think this, and I'll close it with this, guys. Social media is never going to replace leadership. It exposes leadership. It exposes it.
Thank you, Dream Team. And folks, I wanted to let you know in the audience that Jose has some technical issues. We lost him. We're hoping he'll join us back for this closing statement, but that's what happened. If you're wondering, he didn't just leave because he didn't agree. So, Rob, closing statement, please.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing to consider is that we're creating a generation that being seen as leading is different than actually leading. And so I'd invite the audience to, when engaging with social media, just to remember that seeing isn't always believing in the social media world. And so each one of us has the responsibility to make sure that what we're consuming is real, is genuine and authentic. And that's what I'd like to leave everybody with today.
Thank you, Rob. JB, your closing statement, please.
Well, we can debate the platform design, the algorithmic ethics, and the regulatory frameworks. And those conversations have merit, but we must demand accountability. And really, the fundamental issue that I see here is, what kind of person will you choose to become? What kind of company do we want to work with who provides these algorithms in the first place? Social media gives you a stage. What you do on that stage, whether you perform or lead, whether you manipulate or serve, really, it's up to you. It's not the algorithm, it's not the platform, it's not the system, it's you. Now, we have to make sure that when we use these platforms, that we evaluate what they're doing and what their intention is, because they don't have your thought, they don't have your best purpose in mind. They have their own purpose, and that's to keep you on their platform. But the individual who takes responsibility for their own formation, who does the inner work and seeking outer influence, who chooses integrity when shortcuts are available, that person will be a leader on social media, off social media, and even without social media. And that's the kind of people I want everybody to become.
Thank you, JB. James, your closing statement, please.
I just want everyone to know I'm feeling a lot of pressure right now. But first of all, I want to say I agree with everyone. Everyone here is brilliant and good and kind. If we appear to fight, it's because we believe the other person is strong enough and smart enough to enjoy the challenge. And so I appreciate and I agree with absolutely everybody. The world is possibly never before been so evidently in desperate need of good, strong, ethical, benevolent leadership. We are at a time where that is lacking. Mm-hmm. The evidence would suggest social media is, as a whole, not creating leaders. That's my opinion. I believe it is causing unwellness. I believe it is causing division. And even the panel that is the team here that's been for social media as far as leadership has talked about, you have to be responsible. You have to do your research. You have to check. You have to confirm. You have to, take ownership. All of that says passive engagement in social media does not create leaders. It creates unwell, unhealthy, demoralized, divided, deluded, depressed people. So we need leaders. And so if you're watching this, here's my encouragement. Get away from social media, go make some friends, love on them, care about them, and learn to become an example that people will follow. Become a person in the real world that other people look up to, they respect, they follow. Be a leader in the real world. And if you develop those skills, please bring them into social media because we need you.
Thank you, James. Sounds like we need to have a live forum workshop somewhere about this and bring people together so we can be in a room again. Although this this platform is amazing. I have a few things I want to say, and then I want to ask a question for you to think about to leave you with today. And when I ask that question, I want you to watch what happens with the panelists' faces. But first, I want to thank our panelists for being here today. They took time out of their busy schedules and days to join us on this first live GST debate about social media, whether it's creating or destroying leaders. So panelists, thank you. I give you a round of applause. Anshu, I would like to thank you for continuing to create these forums and platforms for us to be able to share our thoughts, to be able to feature us, to bring leaders together, speakers together, people who are trailblazers together, to be able to speak to the world. We are so grateful for what you have offered to us and what you continue to create. So thank you. And to the audience, our viewers, thank you for joining us today. We hope you'll vote and tell us what you think. We really want to know what you think on this topic and what you thought about this live debate today, the first one for Global Speakers Talk. And now, before I leave you, I want to ask a question. Who knows, it may be a future debate, but I know these people are going to be passionate about this question. I read an article yesterday, and the question of the article was, is AI helping or hurting leaders today? Now, there's a topic, right? But that wasn't our topic today. Today, it was about social media. And I want to thank you all for joining us. This is Tom LeNoble saying goodbye for today, and we will see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you, Anshu and Global Speakers.
Together we are Global Speakers Talk.